episode of Grub Gab with me, Pixie, where I show you how to make something delicious, and then I eat that thing while gabbing about various topics. Today I'm going to show you how to make a mung bean sprout and cucumber salad, and I'm going to be talking about road trips, more so road trip etiquette since I just got back from a really big road trip. But first, this salad, since it's coming towards the summer months and it's getting warmer out there for us in the northern hemisphere, it's very refreshing, it's crisp, and it goes well with pretty much anything that you want to serve up. My mom used to make this a lot, and when I lived at home with her, she'd have to make a triple or quadruple batch because I could just sit there and eat this endlessly. Even after dinner, I would kind of sneak off to the fridge and eat some more because it's just that delicious and refreshing. So before I start talking about road trip etiquette, let me show you how to make my mom's bean sprout salad. Start by prepping your cucumber. I'm using half of a hothouse English cucumber, but you can use any kind of cucumber that you prefer, such as Persian or Japanese cucumbers. If you're going to use regular cucumbers, be sure to peel the skin and remove the seeds. Since my cucumber is so big, I'm going to slice it lengthwise before cutting it into half-moon shapes to make it more bite-sized. Then you want to set a colander into a bowl and put the cucumbers into the colander. You'll see why you need the bowl in just a bit. Next, we're going to add about 1/4 teaspoon of salt to the sliced cucumbers. This is going to draw out the moisture from the cucumbers and ensure that our salad is flavorful instead of watery. Mix in the salt very well. You want to ensure all the pieces are coated with some of the salt. Then let the cucumbers sit in the colander over the bowl so that it can drain for about 15 minutes. Next, we're going to prepare our sauce. Start by mincing up 1 clove of garlic. And add it to a bowl. Then add 1 teaspoon of sweetener. You can use any one you want, but I'm just using plain white sugar. Then to that, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar. Next, we're going to use lower salt soy sauce, and 2 tablespoons of that goes into the mixture next. And finally, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of sesame oil. Make sure you get the good quality stuff because the taste makes a difference. Next, stir the sauce together to ensure all the ingredients are mixed well. Then set it aside so the flavors can meld together. Next, we're going to prep our bean sprouts. Make sure you get the mung bean sprouts as they have a better flavor for this salad. For this recipe, I'm using a 9-ounce bag, but you can use more or less if you prefer. First, we're going to empty the bag of bean sprouts into a colander in the sink and give it a quick rinse with cold water. Then we're going to pick through the beans and remove any of the ones that look questionable or rotten. Once all the bean sprouts are cleaned and picked through, you're going to add it to a pot of simmering water. You want to simmer the bean sprouts with the heat on for at least 3 minutes, stirring frequently to ensure that the bean sprouts are submerged in the water. Then turn off the heat and let it sit for about another minute. Then we're going to drain the bean sprouts in a colander and give it a quick rinse with cold water to stop the cooking process. Now here's where you're going to need to use your muscles. To ensure that the salad isn't too watery, we want to squeeze the excess water and moisture out from the bean sprouts. So working with a handful at a time, squeeze the bean sprouts between both your hands to get out as much moisture as you can. And once you squeezed it, put it into a large bowl. Continue to work in small batches until all the bean sprouts have been squeezed out with excess water. So remember the cucumbers sitting in salt from earlier? Well, it has released some of its moisture, and you're going to have to use your arm muscles again to squeeze out the excess water from the cucumber slices. Trust me, this makes the salad so much better. So again, working in small batches, handfuls at a time, you use your hands to squeeze out the excess water from the vegetables. And then add it to the large bowl with the bean sprouts. Once you have the extra moisture removed from the cucumbers and bean sprouts, slice 1 stalk of green onions and add it to the bowl. Now it's time to dress the salad with the sauce we made earlier. Empty the entire contents of the bowl into the bigger bowl over the cucumbers, bean sprouts, and scallions. Be sure to get all the bits of garlic because you don't want to waste any of it. And then mix thoroughly to ensure that the sauce coats everything well. Once thoroughly mixed, let it sit in the fridge for 15 minutes to ensure that all the veggies can soak up all the flavors from the sauce. Before serving, give it one more good stir, and that's it. You can either serve it on its own or as a side dish to anything else that you're eating. And to make it pretty, I like to add a sprinkle of toasted sesame seeds on top. Don't forget, you can get the written recipe with measurements on my website, PixieNoms.com. And that's how you make my mom's mung bean sprout and cucumber salad. As you can tell, it's a really simple dish. It comes together really easily. It's not something super fancy or complicated, so it's easy to throw together, and you can quadruple the batch if you want to bring it over for a potluck or a barbecue or a picnic or whatever, if you're feeding an army or just a person who really likes the salad like me. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a bite before I start talking about my road trip. Even though you boiled the bean sprouts, you haven't boiled it too long, so it's still got a crisp to it. Cucumbers are still crunchy. And it's not too salty because it has a vinegar taste to balance it out. The vinegar is not overpowering because there's also a little bit of sugar to mellow it out. It's just a really nice, refreshing balance of flavors. And of course, if you want it spicy, you can always add in diced hot peppers. But I haven't been to the grocery store in a bit, so I don't have any. So I'll just do without. So good. All right, one more bite, then I'll start talking. So my friend Kate from England was here, and we embarked on this road trip together to many places that neither of us have ever seen before. We hit up about 10 national parks. I think it was like 4 or 5 state parks. We went through Southern California, into Arizona, into Utah, back home through like Nevada, back into Southern California. Anyway, so we were at all these national parks, and the thing that I loved the most about the road trip was the camaraderie and the fact that I didn't need to be paranoid about leaving my stuff in my vehicle because everyone has kind of like packed everything into their vehicles and are road tripping across various places to different destinations. So it's kind of like an unspoken rule that, you know, no one's gonna really break into another person's car and steal their stuff. I mean, I know when we got back from the road trip, we wanted to stop somewhere to eat, and I was like, no, we should go home first and empty out the car so someone doesn't break into it and try to steal it. So it was really nice to be on a road trip and not have to worry about that. Of course, we didn't really bring anything valuable worth stealing. Anything that was worth stealing was on us. Or maybe the things worth stealing were things that bears would steal, like food in the vehicle. Anyway, so one of the good things I like about the road trip is that like everyone kind of has the same goal in mind. Everyone is kind of packed their belongings into a vehicle and they're going to various points across the US to visit various sites. So no one's really in the mindset of, oh, let me break into that car because they seem to have something that I want instead. And another thing I really liked was kind of like the camaraderie of everyone when you were passing everyone on like the trails at the national park, or you see other people, you'd stop, you say hi, you'd smile. And I am not a person who enjoys the sun or the heat, so I was kind of having a hard time in Utah and Arizona because there was just so much sun and so much heat, and it's just something I don't enjoy being in. I mean, it's a beautiful environment, it's okay to visit, but I'm pretty sure like when I was hiking along, I just probably looked absolutely miserable even though I was enjoying myself. So there were a few times where, you know, other people on the trails asked if I was okay, if everything was all right with me, and, you know, just the fact that they would check in because I looked so miserable, or maybe that I was struggling to walk in the heat and sun, that was just very comforting to me, and it was just nice because it's just this camaraderie of everyone's out there, everyone's trying to enjoy the same sights, and so everyone's kind of looking out for one another. And that, I feel like, should be something that happens in everyday life, not just when you're out there on the road trip. Though I will say, you know, at national parks, there are a lot of older people who are out there who are not really prepared for what they're getting into. Like, sure, a 2-mile flat hike might not seem like a very big deal on paper, but when you're out there in the sun and in the heat, you know, you do need to bring water. You should probably bring something to snack on in case your blood sugar plummets. And a lot of the older people on the trails aren't really prepared for that. I mean, yeah, a flat hike doesn't seem that strenuous, but when you're walking a mile out and then a mile in, it's kind of like an endurance thing. And while it's fine for the younger folks, some of the older folks struggle, or even if it's just like a moderate incline on the trail, they might have a harder time with their coordination or balance on it. So I kind of like took it upon myself to help some of the elderly people who were struggling. There was one point at Arches National Park where me and my friend Kate kept passing this older couple multiple times, and they seemed to be okay, but they were walking very slow. So before we left the trail, I passed them, asked them if they were doing okay, if they needed any water, if they needed a snack or something, because they didn't have any water with them. And I was just like, what are you doing out here in this sun without any water at all? There was also another lady at Canyonlands who had a knee replacement, and there was a little kind of like a steep incline on the trail, and she wasn't so worried about the pain of her knee. It was more that she was worried she was going to lose her balance and fall or slip. So I offered my hand and helped her down so she could get reunited with her husband, who had walked off several paces ahead of her. So it just got me to thinking, you know, these older people have probably wanted to visit these national parks. Like, it's been on their bucket list. It's their dream trip for their entire lives. And we're all trying to get to the same place, to see the same sights in the same national parks, to have a good experience. So if you just take a few moments out of your busy road trip schedule or walking just to pause, check on the elderly, make sure they're okay, check on anyone else who seems to be struggling, offer a hand if it looks like someone needs help, or maybe even just walk a few paces with someone just to ensure that they're all right. They will probably remember that kindness, and that would make their trip of a lifetime so much more better. So it's just one of those things where I just want to get across that, you know, we get that everyone is busy. Everyone has a timeline. Everyone has the places they need to go, where they need to go. But, you know, taking 5 minutes to help an elderly person navigate a tricky part of the trail for them isn't going to ruin your timeline. And actually, it's probably going to make your trip a lot better, because we all want to see the same sights. We're all going to the same destinations in the park. It's just a matter of when we get there. Why not help someone who's been dreaming about this trip for their whole life? I'm gonna pause the talking to take a few more bites of my salad and do this ever so beautifully, because I don't know, kind of sloppy to eat this on camera. I also try not to ruin my lipstick. Speaking of the road trip, that's where I got this bowl here. There's an independent artist gallery in Moab, Utah that we stopped into. And I saw this bowl. Actually, there was like a ton of bowls and plates made by this artist that I can't read the name of, and I should have gotten a better pamphlet of. But there were unique designs, and I just really liked the way this one looked. It was a cute little bowl, and so it survived the rest of the road trip and didn't break, which I am very happy and pleased about. Okay, back to talking about road trip etiquette. Another thing that's really awesome is that if you try to take a selfie, sometimes people offer to help you take a picture. You know, when someone's traveling alone, or, you know, a couple travels together, they don't really have someone else to take that picture of them together for them. So whenever I see people like with their arms out trying to take a picture of themselves, I always just offered, oh, do you want me to take a picture of you guys for you? Or people will flag me down and ask me to help them take a picture of them. And, you know, of course, say yes, because you're helping other people make memories. You're helping them get the picture that they want to remember the trip that they're on. And it only takes like 2 seconds nowadays. I always take a few moments to just say, hey, take a look at the picture, make sure it's good. If it's not good, I can take more pictures, you know, just check it out, make sure it's all right. And then a lot of times they will offer and reciprocate, saying, hey, thanks for taking my picture. Do you want me to take a picture of you and your friend? So it's just one of those things where everyone wants to make memories and everyone wants great pictures. So either ask other people to help you take pictures, or when someone asks you to take pictures, don't be a jerk and be like, no, I'm busy, and keep walking. Just say, yeah, sure. It's only a few seconds out of your time, and you're helping them remember their trip of a lifetime as well. Basically, whenever someone asks you to help them take a picture, don't be a jerk, because you're going to ask someone to help you take a picture. And how would you feel if they told you, no, I'm not going to help you take that picture, or if they just ignored you and walk away? It's just kind of one of those things, like, imagine how you would feel in their situation and someone rejected you. Again, we're all going to the same place. We're all going to see the same sights. We're trying to make memories in a great place. Why not help them make the memories even better by just being extra kind? And here we are. Last bite, last bite, last bite, last bite. And we're done. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Grub and Gab with me, Pixie. I have to go wash the dishes now, so until next time, toodles. Bye. in Yosemite Valley. El Cap, right there. There's the back of Kate's head.